Today, I'm going to be your presenter for information technology, and my name is Ama Mtowodzwa. We will start by recapping on what we covered yesterday, which was to do with utility programs as well as device drivers. So there are a series of questions and it's multiple choice and true or false that we have to do before we start today's lesson. So the first question, you can just answer by putting in the letter. If it's A, then just type A. Right. Question number 1, embedded computers are found in A, IoT, which is Internet of Things devices. Internet of Things refers to like smart homes, applications, irrigation systems, and any other monitoring devices at the home. Right. B, motor cars, and then all of the above. Okay, correct. And then number 2, a device manager is A, an application program, B, utility program, or C, an application tool. Can you type in the answer? That's B. Good. Then number 3, a desktop computer will typically have A, a standalone operating system, B, a server operating system, or C, none of the above. What's the answer there? Desktop computer. That's A. Perfect. Otatile, you are doing wonderful. Right. Number 4, storage is usually associated with an HDD, which is hard disk drive, and then SSD, solid state drive, or all of the above, which is C. Perfect. I want also the others to chip in. You can just type in the answers. Right, we move on to question number 5. What is your option should your computer not have an automatic driver? Remember, there are 2 ways of installing drivers. Either it's automatic, whereby the operating system detects it and then it looks for the driver in its database and then it installs. Or if the driver is not there, then you have to use the CD provided or you have to download it from the internet. What's the answer there? So download the driver from the manufacturer's website, okay, and then install from the CD, DVD that comes with. So which means both A and B are correct. Then number 6, a driver's role is to, what is the role of the driver? Explain to your operating system how to communicate with the plug and play device. Explain to your operating system how to communicate with the hardware device and make it function properly. Explain to your operating system how to communicate with the software device and make it function. What's the answer there? B, explain. Let's see. So I have 2 that says B. Anyone else? Let's see. Is there anyone who thinks it's A? Anyone else thinking it's B? I have 2 so far. Who else thinks the answer is B? So B, explain to your operating system how to communicate with the hardware device and make it function properly. That's correct. And then number 7, the following operating systems work directly on computers to ensure that the tasks of an operating system are completed. Standalone systems, embedded operating systems, network operating systems. What's the answer there? What's the answer? Say, let's see, the following operating systems work directly on computers to ensure that the tasks of an operating system are completed. Exactly. Say, it's correct. Right. Then Number 9, this one, we just match. So we are matching column A and B. So let's start with number 1, and then you just type in the correct letter there. So manages hardware, software, and other applications on a computing devices. What is it? A to H. What's the answer there? A to H. So storage management, utility program. Let's just put in the answer and then we see what's correct. So what manages hardware, software, and other applications on a computing devices? What type of utility is that? F. So F, operating system. Perfect, that's correct. Managing the signal received from an input device and sending. A is for, right? And correct, sending the correct signals to an output device. What is it? B. Number 2, the answer is D, correct. And then number 3, lines of code and computer instructions that tell the computer, the hardware of a computing device what to do. What is it called? That's H, which is drive. Okay, let's go back again. Lines of code and computer instructions that tell the hardware of a computing device what to do. That's software. Okay, then that's software, right? Managing the applications and the resources used by applications on a computing device. The answer is what's the answer? That manages a storage management, managing applications. That's J, okay. Then software that contains a set of instructions that command a computer's operating system on how to communicate with the hardware. Now, how to communicate with the hardware. That becomes H, which is device driver. Perfect. And then an operating system designed for a specific purpose. What is it? Designed for a specific purpose. It's C, embedded. Perfect. And then processes used to improve the performance of data storage resources. What do we call that? A, storage management. Okay. System software that helps users to maintain their computers. We'll say that. Then the last one, number 8, utility program. Okay, perfect. Now we are moving on to today's lesson. We are skipping this one, and then we are looking at computer networks. And then our objectives, number 1, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to define or describe what a computer network is. Number 2, you should be able to describe or give reasons for using networks. And thirdly, to identify advantages and disadvantages of networks. So these are the 3 objectives that we are going to look at today. Firstly, what is a computer network? Right. This is a system in which multiple computing devices are connected to each other through a communication media, such as cables, satellite, radio, and electromagnetic waves. For what purpose? For what reason? For the purposes of sharing data and resources. So there are key points that we are going to be discussing as we move along with the topic. So, number 1, we have multiple computing devices can you give me examples of devices that can be connected? I have a diagram there. You can also make use of the diagrams. What kind of devices? Just one word answer is enough. For instance, we can say, okay, mobile devices, workstations perfectly. What else? What else? Printers, correct? Yeah, that's good. And then connected to each other through a communication medium. How they are connected. Is it wireless? Is it through cables? And then for what purpose? For sharing data and resources. So you see, there is a diagram that you see. We have mobile devices, printers, and then we have routers, and then we have servers, and we have also workstations connected through, this one is through a wired networking system. And then some of these also can be connected wirelessly. So we move on to the second part, which is why now. What are the reasons for having a network, or why do we need to have a network? Right, number one, we have about 7 reasons. So number one, fast, efficient communication, right? To make communication among users possible. Nowadays, everything revolves around the internet. Like, for instance, now, because of COVID-19, we are having our lesson through the internet. Without networking, without networks, it was not going to be possible for us to be attending this lesson as we are doing right now, right? Video calls can be done, emails can be sent, instant messaging services, and also you can be able to use social networks. Thanks to the network, to the internet, which is like a global network. It's a network of networks, which is the internet. Right, number two, besides making communication among users possible, it also enables users to share resources such as information, hardware, and software. So we can, if you can think of your school, right? Let's say you have a network at the school, and each of the learners has a device. And let's say, for instance, you want to print. You do not have a personal printer assigned to each of the learners. You have probably 1 or 2 printers that are connected to your devices through the network, such that if you want to print, you simply send to a common printer that is shared over the network. So a network, it allows you to share hardware. Number two, sharing resources, sharing hardware resources, right? Networks allow computers to share and access resources with other computing devices connected to it. So you can share data and information. Number two, you can share printers and scanners, just like we said in the previous slide. And then number three, we can share software. Also, as an advantage, we have labor and money, right? From the internet, you can get experts who can help you to resolve issues that you may encounter, that you may be experiencing, right? As well as also you are able to access banking sites, investment sites, and also crowdfunding sites such as GoFundMe.com. Right? If there are any campaigns that you want to take, there is also like change.org, which you can put a petition for maybe a cause that you want to bring to light. Right. Then lastly, there, Under sharing of hardware resources, there is also other resources, hardware resources that can be shared, such as portable disk drives, portable DVD drives, and plotters, among other things that you can use in your network system. Then thirdly, there is centralization of data, which means data is stored centrally for easy access, right? Data integrity is also maintained, and then by that, we refer to accuracy and consistency, which is validity of data over its life cycle. And then lastly, under centralization of data, backups are easy to do from one central location. If you have any question, just remember to type in the question so that we can attend to it as we move along the lesson. Right, then number 4, the other reason is to transfer files, the transfer of files. It allows users connected to the same network, whether that is a local network or the internet, to gain access to the specific files. Right, we have different types of networks that we are going to look at. For instance, at home, you can have your own personal area network. We are going to discuss that in tomorrow's lesson, right? So at a station like a school, a place like a school, you have your own network. That network might also be connected to the internet. So the local network that we have at school, we term it local area network. And as such, tomorrow we are going to talk more about it, right? So within that local area network, you are able to share files. You are able, for instance, if you have an assignment that we have done, you are able to upload it to the teacher's computer, or the teachers are able also to distribute or to upload files onto your devices using the network, right? So files can be shared in several different ways, such as number 1, using the operating system's file sharing utility, and then placing the files on a network attached storage, NAS, network attached storage device or file server. And then number 3, uploading the files to a website. You can share them also on a website. Sending an email with the files as attachments, right? And then using file sharing websites like Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox, right? What can you just give me? What is the advantage of using Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox? Do you have any advantages that you can think of? And these 3, okay, backing up that data, okay, and we can say it's easily accessible from all your devices because this is online storage. So Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox are part of what we call cloud storage facilities, right? Applications, right? So you are able to access the data that you put in OneDrive. You are able to access it from any of your devices as long as you are connected to the internet. That's the best thing that we can do. And most mobile devices these days, like your phones, they can synchronize with OneDrive, synchronize with Google Drive, so that the moment you take a photo, automatically it's uploaded into your cloud space, storage space. If you have any questions, you can ask there. Right, then number 5, increased productivity. That's the other reason for having a network. The use of networks allow most people to work and study more productively, right? This is achieved by allowing people to, number 1, collaborate more easily, right? For instance, if I were to give you an assignment and then I say, okay, this is a group work, then you can collaborate. using applications like Google Docs, where you can share the same file among the different members of the group, and then you can work on the same file. That is collaboration. So the networks or internet makes it possible, right? Number two, share files, thereby preventing work from being duplicated, right? And then share resources and information, and then quickly find answers to the questions by centralizing useful information. So we normally do this in schools. We have a central location where you can say, for instance, on the server where you have maybe probably lots and lots of documents with information that you use in your individuals and maybe different subjects. And then if you need to access that, you simply log onto the internet, onto this network, and then you can be able to download whatever information you intend to use. Right, then number 6, leisure. In some books, it's called LAN parties, right? So the network gives you access to the internet, and it provides you with, we can say, an almost unlimited amount of entertainment. This entertainment includes games. What games, if I may ask, are there any games that you normally play on the internet with other people around the world? You can just give me examples there of internet games that you play. GTA 5, what else? Fortnite. So these ones, they allow multiple players from different places around the world, right? And with the network, we have Minecraft, correct? We have what we term a global, we can say the world now has been turned into a global village. You don't need any passport, you don't need any visas to visit maybe websites that are in any country or to interact with like people from different countries. You do not need any visa. You simply need your internet connection, and then you can access any type of information available. And then multimedia, what do you understand by multimedia? Multimedia, it's 2 words combined, multi and then media. What are the medias that can be combined? Remember, we have 2 types. We can say 2 types of media. We have print media and then electronic media, right? So when it comes to computers, we are dealing with the electronic media. We have different types. Like for instance, sound, video, text, images, all these form part of what we call multimedia, right? And then you can also have access to books. There are various libraries of electronic books that are on the internet. You can simply access them, you can borrow them, you can buy if you want, and then some you can download for free, as long as you are not hacking someone's website and stealing the books or getting them illegally. They are websites that you are able to access the books for free. Right, then the last reason why we have networks is increased control and security. What does this mean? You need your data to be kept in a secure location. The data of an organization can be centrally stored on 1 or more computers. Then it's easier to ensure that the data is backed up on a regular basis. This is what has to be done. On a regular basis, the data is to be backed up. And then if it's on a central machine, it's easy. Imagine if you have 5, maybe let's say 50 computers in your organization or the school, 50 computers, and these computers are not connected. Then if you have to make a backup of the data from all the computers, then you need maybe an external hard drive, and then you go one computer after the other until you have backed up the data from 50. Imagine, it's going to be tiresome. So if the computers are connected in a network, it's going to be easy because you simply sit on one computer, probably the server, and then you can make a backup from all the computers seated on one location. Right. It is easier to ensure that the data is kept secure. Right. Yesterday, we spoke about users, the standard user, and then the administrator. Right. On the server, there is also need for a person who is trained to manage the server. And that person, we can call the person the network administrator, right? So he manages the accounts, he manages the documents, he manages the hardware through the server. And then he gives user access to certain files, access to certain resources, and in a way, he has complete control of the system. Any questions? And it's one of the career options in the computer industry. You can choose that as a profession to be a network administrator. And it's okay, it's well paying. Any questions? Any questions that you might have? Right, we move on to advantages of connecting to a network. Right, number one, it allows people to share resources and expensive devices. Right, imagine 50 students at the school. Let's say we have 50 computers, right? And then we mentioned it earlier, and then you need to print, each of you needs to print. Instead of buying 50 printers, we can only buy one printer, and then it's shared over the network. Then you reduce costs, right? So you save money, right? Number two, connects individuals to friends, family, and colleagues who are located in a different region, province, or even country. Like we mentioned earlier, it's possible today for us to have this lesson because we are connected on the network, right? Increase opportunities for self-improvement by providing access to knowledge and information. Imagine how many times you have gone onto the internet when you are given a task at school. You go to the internet and research. Most probably, most of the time, the first page that comes up is Wikipedia. So sometimes, as an advice, I would say, yeah, some of the information that we have there is not valid. It's not verified. So when you get whatever information you get from Wikipedia, you need to check other sources. And then if it's correct, then you can say, okay, this is good information that we have received. So do not just extract anything from Wikipedia without going to other sources and verify. Right, then disadvantages of connecting to a network. Now you are exposed to online crimes such as identity and credit card theft and scams such as email phishing, right? There are people out there who just dream about committing internet maybe crimes, right? So they can send you emails where there are links, and then you click, and then you are required to enter your details. And sometimes these links, you might be tempted to, in fact, it could be something that is being sold, and then they say, okay, enter your credit card numbers. And sometimes it might not be genuine. So you need to be very, very careful before you give out your information on the internet. Most of the cases, it's people who are trying to get your details so that they can steal from you. And then also there is cyberbullying and abuse, especially on social media platforms. Is there anyone of you who has ever been bullied? You can just say yes or no. Be it on, I know most of you are not on Facebook, it's of the old generation, but from the other, like I think there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. Is there anyone who has ever been bullied? You can just say yes or no. Or who has bullied other people. There are different ways of bullying. Just saying something negative. You see a picture that is there, and then you say something negative about the person. It's also part of bullying. So we shouldn't do that. That's good, you haven't been. So you do not, whatever you put on the, or maybe whatever message or whatever comment you want to say to someone on the internet, just think for just take a minute to think, if the same words are said to you, what would you feel? Just think of yourself first, what you would feel if the same words are said to you before you press the send button. And remember, whatever you post on the internet, on networks, it can have a negative impact in your future life, because whatever you post, it's going to be difficult to remove it. Whatever you post on the internet, so you have to be very, very careful. Do not just post things without thinking, because in the near future, it's going to create some problems with you. And these days, if you apply for a job, let's say you are done with your tertiary education, and now you want to look for a job. The moment you apply, the HR people, the human resources people, the recruiters, they search on the social networks to see whatever you say there. And you may end up not getting the job because of whatever you wrote when you were in grade 10. So you have to be very, very careful. It's just an advice that I'm giving you. Right. And then lastly, as a disadvantage, it can be addictive and waste large amounts of time. Imagine games. There are people who end up getting addicted to games, and you end up not studying because you want to maybe to watch movies on YouTube. You want to be on Netflix. You want to play this game, right? Like Minecraft. And then you end up taking most of your time, dedicating it to games rather than to your schoolwork. And also there are lots and lots of people there on the internet who try to expose you to whatever things that can end up destroying your lives. So you have to be very, very careful with the way you use the internet. Right, time for recap. We are looking at activity 5.1, and then we are going to just do a mashup of the column A and B, and then we see how it goes. So number 1, a group of 2 or more computing devices that are connected, allowing the computers to communicate electronically, is called what? Just mention A, B, C, or H. What is it called? 2 or more computing devices connected. What do we call it? That's D, okay, correct. Computer network. And then data and information. Remember the difference between the two. Data, it's raw, and then information is processed. And then you say the answer is D, the D. Data and information, printers, and then software, labor and money are examples of what that can be shared over the network. The examples of what? A, resources. Perfect, it's correct. Placing the files, there's a mistake there, files on a NAS or file server is one of the ways to dash what? You said, what's the answer there? G, it's share files, okay? And then we move on to productivity. I'm sure it's the one, can be increased using network by, how do you increase productivity? We are almost there. Right. And then, okay, networks also allow people to get access to H, which is entertainment. Okay. Then one of the disadvantages of a network is disadvantage, which is it can be addictive. Okay, correct. And then an advantage of networks that is that it can increase opportunities for what opportunities can be increased? Say, which is self-improvement. Perfect. Right, then the summary for today, we looked at the reasons for having a network, and then you should be able to define a network, what a network is, and then should be able to state the advantages and disadvantages of having a network. And then for tomorrow, we are going to continue with networks, and then we'll be looking at what the components of a network are. What are the components of a network? And then we are going to look at the types of networks. If you have any question for what we have done today, you can just write down the question. We still have 2 minutes. Then I'll be able to answer you. Right, and the resources, in addition to the free book, I have also used the Start Opportunities IT is Great Grade 10 textbook. So you are free to use these 2 books as your resources. So if there is any question, you are free to post the question. Otherwise, we are ending the lesson. Okay, is it possible to start a HAN with grade 10 education? Right, HAN is a home area network, right? So if you have a router at home, then it means we have a HAN, which is you are going to use your devices, mobile devices, and then you can have a printer. So let's say, for instance, you are 3 at home. You only have 1 printer, which can be shared through the Wi-Fi for everyone to use. So that's a HAN, so you can have it, right? Same as a PAN, which is a personal area network. You can have it as well. That is, it's centered on you with your devices. You have a laptop, you have a mobile device, and then maybe probably you have a printer. Then you use hotspot from your mobile device. Then you can create a PAN. Any other question? Okay, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we meet again tomorrow.